In 1768, I ran away through my foster father's gate. 8 years from then, I would meet General Washington. And 6 years prior, my parents were killed in the wildfire. The woods called my name after 6 years of pain, and I left the house where I lived. I lived in the woods for 3 years. I fished and ate deer while working here and there for some folk. I traveled the Monongahela down and would work in various towns. I learned a handful of trades. With the Indians, I often stayed. They gave me a name that meant bright and kind because of my skin and because I didn't whine. They told me stories of ancient times, of their former glories, their cities and shrines. They told me of giants that their fathers fought and beat, heroic tales of the strong who knew no defeat. They told me the secrets of Pennsylvania caves and how they ran very deep and were used as graves. In ancient days, before those giants and before their kin, there was a mountain kingdom that spanned the Appalachians. An Indian I called Samuel, who knew how to speak English, taught me how to fight the native way and taught me how they fish. He was darker skinned and tall, with hair like a horse, with eyes of fire, kindness, and great force. He was the wisest man that I ever did see, and he was like a father to me. The thing he taught me that most changed my life was that God loved me and sent Jesus Christ to die for my sins, to then rise again, that into his family I may come in. Samuel the Indian heard this good news in 1739 when Whitefield preached with a fire divine that Jesus lives and Jesus saves, with compassion deep and boldness brave. One man I met was 14 when he had the honor of meeting William Penn. Kind and gracious, wise and fair, Penn treated the natives with dignity and care. The Delawares even now refer to him as their elder brother. My Quan, they call him, which means quill or feather. And on their hearts he indeed did write that we can work together and don't need to fight. Yet I also learned that there was a time for war, and I felt ready to give myself to the colony's cause. The news of Lexington and Concord came to my door, and I didn't hesitate or pause. 4 months earlier, I settled down in a small country West Virginia town, but I had a sense that was very strong that I wouldn't be there for very long. A man from my town grew up with Put, Major General Israel Putman, that is, supporting general to Washington he was, and the ear of that great man was his. I wanted to join. I spent every coin on ammunition and 2 guns. I was given a horse, and I started my course to Virginia at the rise of the morning sun. Little did I know that cold, deadly snow and pain of every kind awaited. It seemed as though my every friend had his life come to an end. War's misery cannot be overstated. General Washington seemed as though a man possessed with strength and goodness and vision. He was the glue that held us through the dim and sometimes hopeless mission. The skills I learned in times of peace I used in the time of war. Medicinal knowledge and fighting techniques that I knew but never used before. Etched into my memory are the scenes of death and the sounds of bullets flying past my face. Sometimes when I remember, I feel strange in my gut and I lose my breath. And then I remind myself of God's providence and grace. It was clear that heaven favored our cause, and that God himself, in spite of our flaws, placed his hand upon us to use this land, to start a new nation and to make it grand. 4 times I spoke with the general one-on-one. Time and time again, my loyalty he won, not only by his courage in leading his men, but by his sense of honor and the selflessness he showed time and time again. Never will I forget his face on the night that he put on his spectacles to assist his sight. My hair has grown gray, my eyes almost blind, in the service of my country in these perilous times. Not a dry eye in that room remained. His humble human poise calmed the noise and eased our pain. The confession of weakness from a man of his kind can melt his soldiers and mend them at the same time. The war had concluded, the colonies calmed down. I opened a furniture shop in the middle of town. Will this new country last? I often thought. There's a chance it will, and a good chance not. A few years passed, and though young, I felt old. I felt my song had been sung and my heart had grown cold. But one day a young lady passed me by, and we happened to catch each other's eye. After a life of battle and a war that was won, little did I know that life had only just begun. Our family grew, and so did our love for each other, our country, and for God above.